I keep the vigil by the stone each year on the day that she was born. Not the day she died, the day she came to light, because I still need to mourn. The born day feels like something worth remembering. The died day feels like loss. But the born day feels like she was real and here, and that's the grief worth the cost. Gravemoss vigil, gravemoss prayer, I speak your name into the empty air. Gravemoss vigil, gravemoss stone, I was never meant to do this alone. Gravemoss birthday, gravemoss light, burning one candle through the gravemoss night. If you can hear me anywhere in the ground, gravemoss vigil, you are found. Gravemoss has grown thick since the first year. The stone is half consumed in green. I take it as the earth accepting her, pulling her into what I mean. By home, by rest, by something gentler than the life she had a chance to start. The moss grows where the grief is richest, grows where the love was in my heart. Gravemoss vigil, gravemoss prayer, I speak your name into the empty air. Gravemoss vigil, gravemoss stone, I was never meant to do this alone. Gravemoss birthday, gravemoss light, burning one candle through the gravemoss night. If you can hear me anywhere in the ground, gravemoss vigil, you are found. Someday I won't come to the stone in winter. Someday someone else will tend this place, or no one will, and the moss will take it all, and the stone will lose her name and face, but she'll still be held inside the earth regardless, inside the root, the rock, the rain. The gravemoss vigil is just my way of saying I haven't lost her yet again.
The fox died under the woodpile last January. I found it when the snow withdrew. Its bones were clean by March, picked perfect by whatever winter creatures do. I kept the skull on the windowsill through April and talked to it in the dark. Something about the hollow of an eye socket helps a man find the mark. Foxbone winter, foxbone cold. Foxbone is how the story gets told. Something dies so something understands what lives beneath the skin of frozen lands. Foxbone winter, foxbone night. Foxbone is what you hold in the light when the living can't give you what you need. Foxbone winter, foxbone creed. My neighbor said it was unhealthy talk to speak to dead things in the house. I said she kept a portrait of her dead husband in every room in the house. She never answered, just looked at her hands. I think she understood. Some grief takes the shape of what it finds. Some grief takes what it should. Foxbone winter, foxbone cold. Foxbone is how the story gets told. Something dies so something understands what lives beneath the skin of frozen lands. Foxbone winter, foxbone night. Foxbone is what you hold in the light when the living can't give you what you need. Foxbone winter, foxbone creed. By April I returned the skull to the woodpile, put it where the fox had lain. The spring came on and covered it with moss, and I didn't need it again. But every January when the cold comes hard and the silence fills the wood, I think about that clean and perfect skull, and I think it understood.
We were born on the dirt roads between the mountains, where the pavement gave up and the gravel began. We grew up on the songs that our grandparents carried from countries that no longer held the same land. We learned that the dark is just part of the singing. We learned that the wound is part of the song. We learned that the ones who are gone aren't gone fully. We carry the dead as we carry along. Dirt road song for the living and dead. Dirt road song for the words left unsaid. Dirt road songs rising up from the clay. Dirt road songs at the end of the day. Sing it low, sing it long, sing it into the ground. Sing it for everyone. barns and the kitchens. We have worked in the cold and the heat and the dark. We have buried our children and buried our parents, and buried the things that were closest to heart. We didn't choose beauty, we found it in hardship. We didn't choose song chose us instead. The dirt road song is the sound of a people who sang because silence would leave them for dead. Dirt road songs for the living and dead. Dirt road songs for the words left unsaid. Dirt road songs rising up from the clay. Dirt road songs at the end of the day. Sing it low, sing it long, sing it into the ground. Sing it for everyone lost and not found. Dirt road songs in the throat and the chest. Dirt road songs for the ones who need a rest. Now we stand at the edge of an unfamiliar country, where the old songs are fading and nobody's sure whether the singing is worth what the singing costs, whether the old words still open the door. But I'll sing till the dirt road is swallowed by concrete. I'll sing till the last gravel stone is covered in black. I'll sing for the ones who came before and carried. I'll sing to bring something of all of them back. My brother and I used to split the riftwood out behind my grandfather's barn. He'd set the log and I'd swing them all down. We worked like two halves of one arm. We didn't talk much during the splitting, just the thunk of iron and wood. Two men doing the thing that needed doing, the way that brothers should. Riftwood song, riftwood split, every piece of wood that isn't it. The grain goes one way and the moth finds it. Two halves of what the whole ones fit. Riftwood song, riftwood cold, stacked up high before the winter cold. Split the sorrow down the middle now. Riftwood song is all we know how. He's been gone 8 years from any address. I can reach him at or find. We split along a line I didn't see coming. Some grief runs along the family line. He took the right and I took the left, the way the riftwood does, and neither half remembers being whole or remembers what the whole wood was. A riftwood song, riftwood split, every piece of wood that isn't it. The grain goes one way and the maw finds it, two halves of what the whole once fit. Riftwood song, riftwood cold, stacked up high before the winter cold, split the sorrow down the middle now. Riftwood song is all we know how. I still split wood behind the barn each autumn. I do it along with the old maw. I set the log and swing and split it clean, and I don't feel nothing at all, except the one long second in between the setting and the swing, when I forget he's gone and almost turn to hand him the other thing.
He left for the war in the autumn, when the thornfield was burning with gold. He kissed me beside the old mailbox, and his hands in my hands were cold. Stood in the road till the dust cleared. I stood till the sun went to gray. I've been standing in that same road ever since, and he's been gone every day. Thornfield widow, thornfield wife, waiting at the edge of a half-lived life. Set his plate at the table still, pours coffee on the windowsill. Thornfield widow, thornfield door, open every night as it was before. He's coming back, that's what I say. He's coming back, just not today. The telegram came on a Wednesday. The boy wouldn't look at my face. I read it 3 times before it made sense, and then I put it back in its place. I folded it up with his letters. I tied them with ribbon and twine. Some things you just keep in a drawer in the dark. Some wounds you just keep as your shrine. Thornfield widow, Thornfield wife, waiting at the edge of a half-lived life. Set his plate at the table still, pours coffee on the windowsill. Thornfield widow, Thornfield door, open every night as it was before. He's coming back, that's what I say. He's coming back, just not today. My daughters say, come live with us in town. Say the farm is too much alone. I tell them the thornfield needs tending, and somebody has to be home. When the briars come up through the garden, when the gate swings out in the wind, I could swear I hear boots on the gravel, and I'd rather stay here than go in.
Laid him out on the kitchen table with pennies upon his eyes. His hands were crossed on his good wool coat, the one he wore at sunrise. We brought the whiskey and the candles in, and we sat through the whole dark night, singing the songs he asked us not to sing, till we got the words right. Dark water wake, dark water song, singing for the ones who won't be long. Dark water candle burning down to wick, dark water time is running thick. Dark water wake, dark water grief, singing is the only relief. Pass the bottle and hold his hand. Dark water wake for the dying man. Old Mara told the story of his youth, of how he stole a horse at 16 and rode it through the town on market day, just to make the women scream. He laughed the loudest at his own disgrace, and bought the owner twice the horse's worth. We laughed at the table in the candle dark, and shook the grief out for what it's worth. Dark water wake, dark water song, singing for the ones who won't be long. Dark water candle burning down to wick, dark water time is running thick. Dark water wake, dark water grief, singing is the only relief. Pass the bottle and hold his hand. Dark water wake for the dying man. 4 in the morning, most had fallen asleep, slumped over the table and chairs. I sat alone with his coin-covered face and whispered my unspoken prayers. I told him the things that I never had said, the thank yous, the sorries, the love. Then I blew out the last candle in the room and gave him back to above. Mudcrow sits on the old levee fence and watches the water go by. He's been there every morning for 30 years, at least that long by my eye. My father called it a bad omen bird, said it shows up when someone will drown. He said the mudcrow watched the levee break in '65 and watched the whole Third War go down. Mudcrow ballad, mudcrow eye, watching everything before it dies. Mudcrow perched on the sorrow fence, watching since before it all made sense. Mudcrow ballad, mudcrow wing, black against the sun, announcing everything. It never cries and it never calls, it just watches from the levee wall. I've seen it on the morning the child was lost. I've seen it the day the mill closed down. I've seen it sitting on my own front gate the morning I nearly left this town. I walked out to it with my packed up bags. It looked at me and didn't move. I put my bags back in the hall that day. I don't know what I had to prove. Mudcrow ballad, mudcrow eye, watching everything before it dies. Mudcrow perched on the sorrow fence, watching since before it all made sense. Mudcrow ballad, mudcrow wing, black against the sun, announcing everything. It never cries and it never calls, it just watches from the levee wall. Last spring I found the mudcrow on the ground beneath the levee fence at dawn, lying still with its wings spread perfect wide, like it knew how to be gone. I buried it beside the water's edge, marked the spot with a piece of white stone. Since then the levee's been quiet in the mornings, and I've been more alone.
kitchen table with your hand on the old family book. You swore the same way your father swore to your mother, with that same sidelong, crooked look. Your father's vows burned down the house eventually. Your mother stood in the cold. I should've recognized the family pattern. I was 22 and bold. Tindersworn vow, tindersworn word, dry as kindling you ever heard. Touch a match to what a man has sworn, and watch the whole thing catch and burn. Tindersworn vow, tindersworn flame, burning as how promises became. Ash on my hands, ash on my floor. Tindersworn vow, I don't swear no more. I kept your vows in a box on the shelf for 11 years. I kept them right, I took them out and read them on our anniversary by the dying candlelight. The words were good, the words were beautiful, the way your father's words were too. The vows were true when you were saying them. I know that much is true. Tindersworn vow, tindersworn word, dry as kindling you ever heard. Touch a match to what a man has sworn, and watch the whole thing catch and burn. Tindersworn vow, tindersworn flame, burning is how promises became. Ash on my hands, ash on my floor. Tindersworn vow, I don't swear no more. I burned the box last winter in the yard, watched every vow go bright and black. Some things you keep until you're ready not to, and then you don't take back. The kids watched from the window wondering. I told them it was just old paper. They seemed to understand the way kids do, that something ended in the vapor.
forest holds its breath in January, as if it's waiting for a name. I walk the old paths every winter morning, and I always feel I came a little later than I was expected, a little wrong in my step, as if the forest counted on my presence, and the forest doesn't forget. Coldlung forest, breathe on me. Coldlung forest, set me free. Let me walk your oldest paths at night. Let me lose myself in right. Coldlung forest, hold my name. Coldlung forest, I'm the same as the ones who walked before my time. Coldlung forest, I am thine. There's a clearing at the center of the forest where the old trees make a ring. Last February something stood inside it. I don't know what it was being. I watched it from the tree line in the darkness for a long and frozen hour. It didn't move and neither did I after. That is the nature of that kind of power. Coldlung forest, breathe on me. Coldlung forest, set me free. Let me walk your oldest paths at night. Let me lose myself in right. Coldlung forest, hold my name. Coldlung forest, I'm the same as the ones who walked before my time. Coldlung forest, I am thine. I came back to the clearing in the springtime. The ring of trees was just trees again. The grass inside was slightly darker where it stood. I couldn't say why or when. I lay down in the center of the ring and looked up at the greening sky. The forest breathed out slow above my face, and that was me. And that was why. Together in the late October, when the soil is ready and the light is done, we bring what we have grown and what has rotted. We bring it all beneath the dying sun.
The night soil is the richest of the offerings.
What we return to, what we took.
The land remembers every year we fed it.
Every harvest in the book.
Night soil hymn, night soil give.
Feed the ground so the ground lets you live.
Night soil hymn, night soil prayer.
Return to the dark what the dark put there.
Night soil sacred, night soil right.
Darkness feeds the darkness in the night.
What you give the earth, it gives you back.
Night soil hymn,
night soil black. My grandmother said the old ones sang this
while they turn the compost in the fall.
She said the song keeps the ground from grieving
when the harvest takes the last of all.
She said a field that's never sung to properly
goes cold inside eventually.
She sang to every row she ever planted.
She sang it all by memory.
Nightsoil hymn, nightsoil give.
Feed the ground so the ground lets you live.
Nightsoil hymn, nightsoil prayer.
Return to the dark what the dark put there.
Nightsoil sacred, nightsoil right.
Darkness feeds the darkness in the night.
What you give the earth, it gives you back.
Nightsoil hymn.
Nightsoil black.
We leave the offerings in the turned earth there.
We walk back to the lanterns of the village,
And we don't look back and we don't stare.
because the old one said the ground needs privacy.
To do what the ground does at night.
To take the offerings down into the darkness.
And turn the dying into light. Tastes like blood and rust, like everything this county gives. You drink it long enough, you start to think that's just what water is. My grandfather drank it 60 years. His teeth went black by 45. He said the ironwell built this family, and the ironwell would take our lives. Ironwell blues, ironwell deep. Ironwell keeps what you promised to keep. Ironwell cold, ironwell true. For you. Ironwell blues, ironwell night. Ironwell never let anyone fight you. Just drink and you swallow and you bow your head. Ironwell blues until you're dead. Threw a stone in the ironwell once, in a fit of rage and grief. He said he heard it fall for a full 10 seconds before it hit beneath. He said something answered from below the stone, there wasn't wine. He covered the well with the old barn door and never spoke of it again. Ironwell blues, Ironwell deep, ironwell keeps what you promised to keep. Ironwell cold, ironwell true. Ironwell's been waiting for you. Ironwell blues, ironwell night. Ironwell never let anyone fight you. Just drink and you swallow and you bow your head. Ironwell blues until you die. Signing the deed and I'm gone. I'm leaving the ironwell to whoever wants whatever darkness lives in the stone. But sometimes in the city late at night, I wake with that taste in my mouth, that iron and blood and rust on my tongue, calling me back to the south. Fast on a fresh turned grave, faster than mercy grows in a man. I've watched it cover the ones I've known since the grief inside me began. The grave digger whistles while he works. He's made his peace with the dead. He says the moss don't care who you were, it just grows on what it's fed. Mossgrave, cover me green, cover what I was and all I have been. Mossgrave, grow thick and slow, let no one remember what's buried below. Mossgrave, hold what I gave, let the living keep moving past my grave. Mossgrave, take me into the stone. Mossgrave, I'm ready to go home. His own grave out behind his father's field. He measured it twice with a piece of old rope and then covered it and healed. He lived another 30 years after that. They say he slept soundly each night. Said there's peace in knowing where you're going. Said it settled something right. Mossgrave, cover me green, cover what I was and all I have been. Mossgrave, grow thick and slow, let no one remember what's buried below. I gave. Let the living keep moving past my grave. Mossgrave, take me into the storm. Mossgrave, I'm ready to go home. In this churchyard with no names, just a number carved in stone. The ones who had no one to write their name, the ones who died alone. I come here on the dark of the moon, and I speak to each unnamed one. I tell them someone knows they were alive before the moss came and was done. Came through in August with a tent full of heat and lies. He laid his hands on every willing sinner, and he looked at them with copper eyes. He took the offerings and he healed the lame, or said the lame were healed. By morning he was 3 towns down the road, and the lame were in the field. Coppermouth gospel, coppermouth word, sweetest poison you ever heard. Coppermouth preacher, coppermouth grace, salvation with a coppermouth face. He'll take your money and he'll take your faith. He'll leave you standing in an empty space. Coppermouth gospel going down smooth till you realize you've been made a fool. My aunt believed him when he said her cancer was washed in the blood of the Lord. She gave him every dollar she had saved and thanked him for his word. The doctor said come back in every month, but she put faith over medicine. By October she was gone, and the preacher was in another state again. Coppermouth gospel, coppermouth word, sweetest poison you ever heard. Coppermouth preacher, coppermouth grace, salvation with a coppermouth face. He'll take your money and he'll take your faith. He'll leave you standing in an empty space. Coppermouth gospel going down smooth till you realize you've been made a fool. Town in Tennessee, I sat in the back of his tent. I watched him work the crowd like a craftsman works, like he always knew where the money went. I stood up when he called for the offering plate, and I said what I had to say. The tent was quiet as a grave all through it. Then he smiled and looked away. Duskweed grows at the edge of every road that nobody uses no more. It's the first thing that comes back when people leave, and the last thing to show at the door. I've been driving roads the duskweed's taken back for 20 years, it seems, following the roads that maps don't carry, following other people's dreams. Duskweed road, duskweed light, duskweed's all that's left at the end of the night. Duskweed follows everything that ends. Duskweed grows where the broken fence bends. Duskweed road, duskweed song, duskweed is where the living don't belong. I'll drive till the road is swallowed whole. Duskweed road is good for my soul. I stopped at a diner outside of nowhere. The woman behind the counter knew. She poured my coffee without me asking, the way tired people do for tired people who. She didn't ask me where I was going, she just refilled and looked away. Some kindness doesn't need a word around it. Some kindness just lets you stay. Duskweed road, duskweed light, duskweed's all that's left at the end of the night. Duskweed follows everything that ends. Duskweed grows where the broken fence bends. Duskweed road, duskweed song, duskweed is where the living don't belong. I'll drive till the road is swallowed whole. Duskweed road is good for my soul. I'll go back eventually, I suppose, back to whatever I called home, but not until the duskweed calls me back. Not until I've been alone long enough to feel the hollow that I carry, long enough to put a name to it, long enough to know if what I left behind is worth returning to or quit.